Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to start the morning sessions of First International Conference on Democracy and Social Transformations, or Demost 2021, in a minute. Please make sure that your microphone is off and your camera is on. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the First International Conference on Democracy and Social Transformations, or Demost 2021. We are really excited to have you join us online. And as we knew already that yesterday, we just came through the first sessions or the opening ceremony and the plenary sessions of the international conference. And today we are going to have some parallel sessions, which will be proceeded in 2 sessions, in the morning sessions from 9 to 12 and the afternoon sessions from 1 to 4 p.m. And before we further proceed the morning session, Bapak Nur Hashim, MA, will give us some technical information. Bapak Nur Hashim.
Thank you, Ibu Kartika, for starting the second day of our international conference on democracy and social transformation. Good morning, everyone. I'm very happy. Finally, we are here in the second day of the conference, and we are also happy that everyone, the author and the presenting author, can join us this morning. And also I would like to greet our friend and colleague from University of Liberal Arts Bangladesh, who has a special panel also this morning. So good morning, everyone. As mentioned by Ibu Kartika, that before we go to parallel sessions, I think I would like to explain some technical information. As you can see from the conference manual that for the parallel session, we are going to use a breakout room, the facilities that provided by the Zoom. So after this, everyone will see on your screen about a breakout button. I will share the technical information that we have provided in our conference manual. May I share the, sorry. Yeah, so please make sure your, especially for the presenting author, please make sure number of your panel. So as you can see from the screen, that after, so all of us now is already in main room. And then after this, you will see if you guys using a mobile phone. So as you can see from the screen, in the left side of your mobile phone will be, there's a button, breakout room, yeah. And then if you use a PC or laptop, in the bottom of the screen, you will see the breakout room as well. And after that, for the presenter, please choose the panel number based on arranged panel session as indicated in conference manual. And for the audience, you can choose in your intended panel. all the information of the panel is already available in conference manual, so you can just whichever the panel that you intended to attend. So if you use handphone or mobile phone, and your screen will sound like this. So you select the panel and then click join, and after that you will be in the room that you have selected. And then if you use laptop or netbook or notebook, the screen will appear like this, and then as in the for one who use the mobile phone, you will have an option about the room, which one that you would like to attend or you would like to participate. So, and then click the number of the room, and after that you will be in the room you have selected or you have chosen. Okay, so that is the technical information for this morning, and we have to be prepared because this is sometimes we will face difficulties on dealing with the technology. So feel be patient, and then after everyone in the room, and then all the moderator of the panel will start the session. Okay, Bu Kartika and everyone, again, thank you for all of you that already here in this Zoom, and then after this we're going to start the session. Bu Kartika, I think that's all for the technical information. Again, be patient, and then we now going to start to break the room into several rooms. Thank you, Bu Kartika.
Thank you very much, Bapak Nur Hashim. Well, ladies and gentlemen, participants and presenters, of course. And now, as Bapak Nur Hashim already gave technical information regarding the breakout room, so I would like to welcome you to join the breakout rooms where you were assigned to. Hope you enjoy all the sessions today. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Good morning, Prof. Jude. Just few information that panel 1 will be in main room. So this is panel 1, a special panel from University of Liberal Arts Bangladesh, and the chairperson will be Prof. Jude William Ginello. And I think Prof. Jude William Ginello is already here, and I see also the panelists. Dr. Sarkar is already there, and then so I would like to hand over the session to Prof. Jude William Ginello, who is going to chairing these sessions. Prof. Jude, are you there? Are we still waiting?
Okay. Hello. Okay, so we've been unmuted. So thank you very much, Panor Hasim. Now we will. May I begin? Yeah, may I begin the panel? Okay, so welcome to the second day and to session panel 1 of the conference. So the title of our panel is Understanding Digital Responsibility Among the Youth in Bangladesh. With Bangladeshis getting more digitally connected, scholars like us in communication, we have started to become more interested towards digital citizenship. In the past, we were more interested in the digital divide and digital inclusion because we were more concerned about those who had the technology and those who did not have the technology. And then later, we were more interested into the use of the technology, whether it is support, you have the support of other people, or what is the quality of your use of the technology. But as the number of digitally connected citizens in our country became higher, we're now interested more into digital citizenship. Okay, so the digital divide concept could segregate the world into two: those who use the computers and the internet, and those who did not. And when we talked about digital inclusion, it's not only about access to the computer and internet, but also the adoption and application of digital technology. But now we are trying to understand digital citizenship as more and more people in Bangladesh are using information technology. So if we look at mobile connection in Bangladesh, we can see that there are more than 100 mobile connections among the population, noting that many of the Bangladeshis have more than one mobile phone. And internet users and social media users in Bangladesh is now 28.8% for internet users, and social media users is now 27.2%. So it is already at least, going to 1/3 of the population. The growth in mobile connection is 1.1%. Internet users and social media users have been increasing at a tremendous rate. And given this, there are more netizens or digital citizens with the ability to use IT to engage in society, politics, and government. So when we talk about digital citizens, these are people who use the internet regularly and effectively. And if we look at the concept of digital citizenship, we would see that there would be 9 elements. Digital rights and responsibility, which is our topic today, is one of these 9 elements. The youth who are considered to be digital natives and are at the forefront of the digital citizenship need to understand that it is their responsibility to help protect others online. They need to be responsible on what they post on social media, as well as report any inappropriate content they find in the internet. The youth need to be diligent in reporting any abusive behavior in cyberspace. So we have prepared a panel for you from the University of Liberal Arts, Bangladesh, and we will be having 4 papers on digital responsibility of the Bangladeshi youth. The first paper investigates the responsiveness of the youth to report on controversial mobile app TikTok, which has been blocked in Bangladesh for its inability to take down inappropriate content, but it has been unblocked. And this will be presented by one of our faculty, Ms. Nandita Tabasum-Khan. The second paper looks at the reasons why the youth share misinformation, disinformation, and fake news on their social media platforms instead of reporting such inappropriate content to relevant authorities. And this paper will be presented by another faculty, Mr. Aminul Islam. The third paper seeks to produce a mechanism that would identify and remove hate speech in Bangla language on social media. In doing so, it asks the youth what words are considered hateful to them. And this paper will be presented by Dr. Sarkar Barbak Tarman. The last paper interrelates the concepts of political propaganda, social media use, digital responsibility among young Bangladeshi political leaders as they try to influence the public sphere. And this will be presented by Dilshad Dodo, Hossein Dodo. So these are the panel for these are the session for this session. So I would request our first speaker, Nandita Tabasum-Khan. Please proceed with your presentation. Okay, I think we need to unmute her.
Hello. Hello, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity we have been given here. Good morning to everyone. So I will start my paper on the controversial issue of banning TikTok specifically, and about the responses of Bangladeshi youth regarding this. I start with that with the background of pandemic and lockdown, that the world came to a halt since the beginning of the pandemic and lockdown. Social gatherings, going to movie theaters or other places to have some recreation has been restrained, since the social media platforms have become new means of communication and entertainment. A report shows, as of July 26, 2020, that one of the top free app in Bangladesh is TikTok. One of the top free app in Bangladesh is TikTok. Compared to the statistics of 2018, the TikTok download has increases by 13% all over the world. The list of free apps followed by Imo and Facebook. TikTok's algorithm is the core of its success. Unlike Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, TikTok's AI algorithm does not prioritize subscribers' accounts or posts from users' friends. It is powered in a way that content creators without a large number of followers can reach a massive audience. It has been equal space for its users, particularly to the underprivileged and disadvantaged people. Despite the huge popularity, the app is raising issues on digital responsibility. In July 2021, first Pakistan banned TikTok for the fourth time on the account of the continuous presence of inappropriate content on the platform and its failure to take such content down. India's ban over the app is on since June 2020. Bangladesh blocked access of TikTok, as also mentioned by Dr. Jude, in 2018 for a few months under the accusation of obscenity and pornography. This raises concern on digital citizenship and well-being. Responsibility and respect is one of the core values of digital citizenship. Wherever the right and reputation of others are violated, the issues has been raised. However, banning an app that provides open space to its users and also raises concern on violation of freedom of expression. So this study investigates the argument from the perspectives of the youth. The objective of the study is to explore the understanding of youth on the behavior manifested on TikTok. Under the notion of digital citizenship, the study will look into the trends followed and understand by the Bangladeshi youth. For this survey, students from different universities have participated and expressed their opinions on the argument. So I will go through some background and context of this argument that social networks are able to interface technological innovation and communication with sociality, thus redesigning the forms, practices, purposes of access and its relationship with everyday life in its multiple dimensions. The ramification of the social process of interpersonal influence is deepened on the two sides represented by the real and the virtual world. The way in which humans behave in online environments discusses generalizations on the way in which environment and personal determinants influence behavior in the different contexts that use technology. The term social presence refers to the degree to which an individual is perceived as a real person. The mediation of technology influences this perception and human interactions, especially in differentiating the ability to transmit non-verbal information. In face-to-face encounters, multiple non-verbal clues are combined in real time with spoken words. In computer-mediated context, based primarily on speech, users adapt to the context using any available means to convey emotions. These communications are able to support hyper-personal communications with a high degree of intimacy. As we go through different literatures, different researches from the previous researchers, a significant body of research across multiple fields investigated the impact of social media in both shaping and reflecting youth behaviors, experiences, and attitudes. On the more positive side, social media platforms provide affinity spaces for diverse participants functioning as a digital neighborhood for youth online. By affording collective expression, social media fulfills significant needs related to belonging, identity experimentation, self-expression, social connection, and political socialization. However, on the flip side, social media also brings up particular risks and challenges for youth, including privacy issues, potentially adverse effects on self-esteem and individuality and informational challenges. What is more, that social media often runs the risk of reproducing broader power dynamics and patterns of marginalization, including along racial, gender, or socioeconomic lines. So with over 800 million monthly users, TikTok has experienced a meteoric rise, becoming the most downloaded app of 2020. In the United States, it has been a 375% year-on-year growth. As mentioned in a report, the app is particularly popular with youth from 13 to 24 years old and plays a significant role in young people's social and cultural lives, both reflecting and shaping youth culture. In 2020, TikTok found itself at the center of political controversy as the issue of banning started when US President Donald Trump seeking to ban it due to its Chinese ownership. While this move shined while this was mentioned by the president, but the ban has not been materialized. In TikTok social network, the thoughts expressed by the users are divided into macro categories of analysis and classified according to the perception that the users express. Analyzing the trend construct of the range in teenagers group has provided useful information about the expressive codes inserted in the social context. This purpose is the key that disrupts the sensitive points of communication and ranks as the starting point for designing a prototypical and representative analysis of the TikToker. The user, after registering to the platform, has 15 seconds to 60 seconds of video to make a lip sync on the most popular songs and give vent to his or her skills as a performer during the staging of a dance or a video in which protagonist portrays his or her expressions. That is also editable through predefined filters. This is followed by the access to the TikTok social network, characterized by the exchange of comments and the selection of profiles to add. By turning on the camera of the device through the TikTok application, it can be chosen the song to be filmed and start recording, which can be slowed or speeded up at the wish of the user, who will decide whether to publish or archive the video. TikTokers, in fact, use social media not to document personal knowledge, but to satisfy their need for fun and creativity. The fulfillment of a desire is recognized as a need for self-realization, as a natural need of the human being for inner growth. Meanwhile, to protect children and adolescents from unsuitable content, TikTok's engineers also developed a version of the app which filters inappropriate content for young users of 13 to 15 years old. Given the many young users of this platform, it is of particular relevance of better understand the motivation to use TikTok. Alongside related topics, such an understanding might also be relevant because recent research suggests that TikTok can be a potent channel to inform young persons on health-relevant information, on official information released from the government, political discussions, tourism content, live online sales, and even educational content. Young TikTokers also confronted from the political governments, as the large user numbers in a very short time window demonstrate, TikTok not only represent a global phenomena, but also been criticized with respect to data protection issues and privacy, spreading hate, and might serve as a platform engendering cyberbullying. Now, if we come to the banning issues, Beginning at the end of June, the Indian government has banned a number of Chinese apps, and the list includes TikTok, Baidu, WeChat, and the popular gaming app PUBG. According to the Indian government, these apps have engaged in activities which are prejudicial to sovereignty and integrity of India, defense of India, security of state, and public order. Apps are being banned by public authorities also on grounds other than national security. For instance, Pakistan Telecommunication Authority has sent notices to management of Tinder, Grindr, and 3 other dating apps, claiming they do not adhere to local laws and they disseminate immoral content. The PTA has asked the apps to remove the dating service and to moderate content in compliance with local laws. Nevertheless, apps are an important instrument for people to communicate, access, and share content. They also provide opportunities to connect and entertain individuals and communities. As such, the contemporary exercise of individuals' freedom of opinion and expression owes much of its strength to the use of these apps, which act as a gateway of information and an intermediary for expression. This is all the more so for apps used by already marginalized or criminalized communities. Okay, but Article 19, an organization works for human rights issues, argues on the banning of the app. That it argues that the determination of what constitutes public morals must not be based on principles derived exclusively from a single tradition. Rather, it should be understood in the light of the universality of human rights and the principle of non-discrimination. A prohibition based on the grounds that the app is used to share immoral content may violate the International Convention on Civil and Political Rights. If it is applied to impose the values held by the government or theocratic elite rather than reflective of the diversity of views held within the society. Further, the pluralism that is essential in a democratic society requires that people, even when in the majority, tolerate speech that they deem offensive. All in all, governments that plan to ban apps should duly assess their impacts on people's freedom of expression, rights, and proceed to a close scrutiny of the legitimacy, proportionality, and necessity of the measure. Restrictive measures must also be used as a last resort when other options fall short, according to the Article 19. Moreover, the organization insists that their bans should be written in more precise and narrower terms to make it easier to access if they meet the 3-part in precise and narrower terms, and make it easier to access all the necessary provision under international human rights law, or whether they illegitimately restrict people's rights. So I now will move on to the survey, the results of the survey, which took place to gather the opinions and perspectives from the Bangladeshi youth. The results from the survey are divided into 2 notions. First, the survey seeks the perception of the youth on the use of TikTok. The questions were asked to see the level of popularity of TikTok among them. The study tries to look into the perception of the youth on the relationship between the app and its users. And second, the survey looks into their opinion on being digital responsible. The study tries to accumulate their thoughts on regulating the social media app. The researcher tries to explore whether banning the app is the best solution, or digital literacy can make us more digital responsible in using any kind of app. So when we come to the results, first, the youth perception on TikTok's popularity. Records are saying that TikTok is the most downloaded app in last 3 months. As they have a restriction for under 13 years, It has been noted that the users of TikTok are mostly from 16 to 24 years, although more than 44% of the respondents believe that TikTok is quite a popular app among the youth, particularly at present during the pandemic lockdown. The use of TikTok has increased significantly. Among the respondents, around 48% has the app downloaded in their devices. However, very few of them upload any video, whereas they basically stream through the homepage for fun. To look into the using mode of TikTok, that how we perceive the use of TikTok. Like the respondents provide their agreement that for them, TikTok is basically a mode of entertainment. 62% of the respondents agrees upon that. TikTok is a platform where they can navigate without any monitoring or regulation. The results are the results are distributed into almost equal proportions when it comes in terms of creativity. A section of the youth believes that TikTok can be a platform for creativity, whilst another section, almost equal section of youth, disagrees with the notion. As reference, we have seen the provision of online learning settings put an impact on the increased activity over TikTok under the hashtag of online learning. Specifically in the lockdown, when all over the places, the education system were turned online education, the students expressed their stress and frustration through TikTok. And it was also a mode from where we can gather and observe actual situation present among the youth. Then again, when it comes to the notion of freedom of expression, TikTok, the algorithm of TikTok is designed such a way that any user can have thousands of views in few minutes and become viral through the web. Therefore, using the app gives space to the non-privileged, non-popular, non-celebrity to become popular. They can express themselves as they want. They can perform to the songs as the movie actors do, while 32% of the respondents disagree to the fact that around 57% agrees that such apps provide the free space to any user. Through this platform, the users can have the privilege to be like anyone they want to be, perform anything they want to perform. So now we come to the perception on digital responsibility. As already mentioned, that digital responsibility is one key component of being a digital citizen. A digital citizen is someone who has an identity on the internet. So being a digital citizen means that you are part of a digital community, and therefore we must exercise self-awareness in addition to awareness of others in the community. Digital citizenship is accompanied by many rights and responsibilities, which are intended to protect us as well as everyone else with whom we interact. So when we go through the questions, the responses from which seeks the notion of digital responsibility, we can see that the youth says that that the TikTok to express oneself is a degradation of moral ethics. Although the youth believes that TikTok is a mode of freedom expression, wherever 64% of the respondents thinks that making TikTok videos are not a sign of a good moral values. Therefore, people need to be more responsible while they are using the app. And along with that, they also believe that TikTok is a violation of other people's privacy. Specifically in Bangladesh, few serious offenses took place through TikTok. Sex trafficking rackets use TikTok for their purposes. In this scenario, it is crucial to understand the privacy of oneself and the people from surrounding. Being digital responsible encompasses the security of information. 67% of the respondents are in agreement with the statement that TikTok is a violation of people's privacy, not only oneself, but also others. When we come to the banning issue of TikTok, that we can see that while 52% of the respondents are in agreement with the banning issue, but 32% is also a significant number who believe that banning TikTok is not an option to regulate the situation, regulate the culture, regulate the cultural behavior of the youth. So when we come to the almost to the conclusive part, that what is youth perception on being digital responsible, specifically while they are using any kind of social media tools, we can find that almost equal parts are divided into their perceptions. 48% people believe that we need to be more digitally responsible, and 36% believe that 48% believe that banning TikTok is a good option. Not being digital responsible will not help the situation, but also 36% people are in agreement with the issue that if we become more digital responsible, if we understand the issues of cyberbullying and how to maintain our duties as a digital citizen, it can decrease the issues of digital violation. For digital responsibility, we need to use appropriate language and behavior when interacting with others, specifically with the issue of cyberbullying. Respect the opinion and ideas of others, obey all intellectual property laws, and we should not use or share others' work without permission, follow rules and codes of conduct for every internet site, responsibility to report cyberbullying threats and inappropriate use of digital resources. So the growing understanding of digital citizenship and digital literacy among the youth, if we see this chart, that 36% of the youth believes that that can also increase our moral values to be more digitally literate and to be a good digital citizen. I conclude my paper here. So thank you everyone for listening, and any comment or feedback on this paper is welcome. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Nandita Tabasum. We learned a lot of new things about TikTok through her presentation. We found out that there are two sides of it. On the positive side, TikTok helps us in our freedom of expression. It is also the expression of creativity, and the youth of Bangladesh use it for entertainment and to gain popularity. But on the other hand, the youth also see it as a degradation of morality and ethics, and also as an invasion of privacy. And because of these two sides of TikTok, it has become quite controversial in Bangladesh. But whether to ban it or not, so that's one of the questions that was raised by our presenter. 52% of the people she surveyed said yes, 32% said no. The Bangladeshi government banned TikTok for a number of months. So, there is quite a split in opinion regarding whether that is a solution, and whether digital citizenship or digital responsibility, would that be able to solve the negatives regarding TikTok. And perhaps later our presenter can clarify that, especially why 48% said yes about digital responsibility and 36% said no, because as we can see from the results, there is no overwhelming indicator or opinion among the youth. And that is what is puzzling about this. So I hope that she can clarify this later on, what exactly that figure meant. So from the controversy of TikTok, we're now going to move to our second presenter. And the second presenter will be Mr. Aminul Islam. And this is about the sharing of misinformation on social media. Again, something that we are concerned about, because why share misinformation on social media? Are you not doing something wrong when you do this? And are you not supposed to be responsible enough not to share misinformation, but why do you do it? So Mr. Aminul Islam will be enlightening us regarding this phenomenon. So please present. Okay, and we have to unmute him.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone who are listening here now. And good morning from Bangladesh. And thank you very much for giving us such nice opportunity to share our thoughts and words in such a place. So I'm going to talk about the sharing of misinformation on social media. A study among Bangladeshi youth. So we did the work among Bangladeshi youth. And this is a joint work. And along with me, I have Dr. Parvat Karmal and Dr. Judina William Hennigel. So it's a very small scale research, and it's at the very beginning, I must say that this work is a part of our continuous or regular activities of AccessMIL. So AccessMIL is an outreach program at the Department of Media Studies and Journalism. And it works mainly for promoting media information literacy among young people in Bangladesh. So this is a very student-led organization. A group of student volunteers mainly work with the AccessMIL, and it mainly organizes the works of seminars, webinars, and research. And it has collaboration with international organizations like GovMil and local NGOs, school, college, and it has organized several webinars for school and college level students in collaboration with HY program of Bangladesh government. So from now, let's move on to the background of this study. So we are living in an information disorder where there is high prevalence of misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation. So misinformation, disinformation, and fake news on social media platforms are mounting global, and these are very global threat. And the phrases are used to describe a news story or a piece of information that is completely unreliable and inaccurate and untrue. So the high prevalence of prevalence and consumption and the sharing of such false information are disrupting the basic foundation of the society by creating massive confusion and lessening social trust, which pose threat to social and democratic process and public health and healthcare system and human rights and multiple identities. So young people are the main part of the society who create, consume, and spread various types of information on social media platforms. They often spread misinformation knowingly, unknowingly, or being told. So it is important to understand the factors that influence the youth to spread such misinformation on social media platforms. Scholars from different disciplines such as communication, psychology, social and behavioral science, cognitive neuroscience, and computer science try to understand the dynamics of sharing news, information, and the spread of misinformation on the platforms. For example, Talwar, Dhir, Kaur, Jafar, and Al-Razdi investigated the relationship between social media use and fake news sharing behavior. They found that there is a positive association between an individual's intentional sharing of fact and their self-disclosure and fear of missing out, and the online trust. So meanwhile, the Burbach and the Halbach, Jeffley, and Valdez found that an individual's personality traits often influence their activities and behavior in social media platforms. But not all. Only few people do share fake news despite knowing that it may hurt their personal image and reputation. However, those who share misinformation on social media platforms, multiple factors influence them doing so. So Chen and Sin found that that key motivators of misinformation sharing are obtaining others' opinion, expression on opinions, and interacting with others on information being shared. Sometimes features of information influence an individual to share it with others on social media. For example, Oliveria Arjaudo and Tam found that the information characteristics such as its ability to spark conversation and its catchiness are the key reasons that lead an individual to share it. They also found that there are some self-expression and socializing motivation play influence and role in this case. On the other hand, the likelihood of sharing of misinformation is higher among the people who think it is the true and among who have pre-existing attitudes about the subject of the information. So most of the studies on the topic, if you have a look, that have been done from the first Western perspective. Little is known about it from the context of Bangladesh. So keeping in the mind the knowledge gap in the context of Bangladesh, we have some objectives, and we did this research to fulfill this objective. So our first objective was to explore the motivation of young people for sharing misinformation on online platforms. Then our objective was to find out the type of sources of the information shared by the young people. And the final one, to investigate the influence of real-life social network of young people on sharing information on social media platforms. So basically, this was a quantitative research, quantitative cross-sectional research, and we did it among young Bangladeshi who were aged more than 18 years and above. So for collecting data, we used a semi-structured questionnaire survey through Google Form, and we took informed consent. At the very beginning of the survey, there was an option that without giving consent, no one can access to the final questionnaire. So we took informed consent to conduct this study. So we analyzed the data. Actually, through the questionnaire survey, we received during the study period 150 responses, but we excluded 31 due to inconsistencies. So data, we encoded the data using SPSS, Social Statistical Package for Social Science, SPSS software, and descriptive statistical analysis. We perform analysis such as mean, percentage, mean, median, mode, and the others different sort of analysis we perform using the software. So let's see our findings and our discussion. So basically, if we have a look in the demographic feature of the respondents, so we can find that a majority of the respondents were male. About 61%, 61.34% are male, and only 38.66% were female. And we can find that their education level, most of them are graduate, and a few number of students were undergraduate. So the most of the respondents were outside of the Dhaka, from the capital, Bangladeshi capital Dhaka, and outside. The very few of the respondents were from outside of Dhaka. So if you have a look at the structure of the social network of the respondents and their age, we can find that most of the respondents have, on an average, their age were 22.4 years, 42 years, they're on an average age of the respondent, and most of them, the real life have the real life friends in their real life 10.83, 10 real life friends, and the number of real life friends with regular contact on an average 5.24. And if you have a look at the number of friends in social media platforms on an average 564.43, and the number of social media friends with regular contact is more than, slightly more higher than the 11. And we tried to look at the information sharing behavior among the respondents, and we found that they usually share the links of a news story or any piece of information when they come across on the web platforms. And we found that among the 119 respondents, 41 of the male respondents, they do share the links of any links of a story, news story, or any piece of information when they come across on the across the online web platform. And among the female, 30 respondents do the sharing of the information whenever they see any kinds of information on the social media platform. And among the respondents who live in Dhaka, 50 of them do share this information when they come across on the web platforms. And if you have a look in the next slide, and we can find that among the male respondents, 39 of them do share links of a news story or any piece of information when they come across on the web platform in the past 1 month. And if you have a look at the main source of the informations they had and that they shared, it is mainly the social media. 52.94% of the respondents reported that they found the information on social media platform and they shared it as soon as they found. And only 8.4% of the respondents found the information on the television, and 17.6% informant or the respondent informed that the main source of the information was the newspaper. So we had tried to understand why, what are the motivation, what are the determining factors that forced the young people to share the content. And we have found some exciting information. First, that was they do share the information to confirm their existing beliefs, and most of them they don't think about the content, about the real impact of the content, and some of the respondents, they do share the information only for fun. And some of the respondents, they found that they do share the content whenever they come across on the online web platforms because they're frequently exposed to such content. So if you have a look at 87 respondents inform that they do share the content to confirm their existing belief about the topic or about the issue or about the information they come across. And another reason to share the information on the social media platform, it's echo chamber. So if you have a look in the slide, you can find that actually most of the respondent, young people do share the information just thinking that their friend will spread their thoughts and liking. And some of them, they inform that they might be admired by their friends and contacts. And they also think that when do share the information that they will be appreciated by their friends. So it is clearly seen that actually they are real life social networks have impact or influence on sharing information on the social media platforms. And another reason, if we find that the digital news literacy factors is here, it indicate that there is digital news literacy level among the participants of the study are very low, because they do share the information without knowing its original source. So a digitally literate person cannot share, usually do not share information on the social media or any platform without knowing the source. And we can find that some of the informant or the participant of this study share because they do not know what is true or false. And if you have a look in the role of the social networks in the real life, we can find that most of the participants do share the information targeting their friend in their real life. So though they do share the information on the social media platform, but their main target is the friends on the real life. And sometimes their real life friend ask them to share. So mainly the real life friends and play a crucial role. So a role in the sharing of information on the virtual spaces like social media. So if you have a look at key findings, so we can find that there is a strong association between the sharing of information on social media platforms and social media users, confirmation bias, and echo chambers, digital news literacy, and social relationship. Moreover, there is association between regular use of social media and encountering similar content and tendency to share that content. People often share the contents on social media without thinking that it may cause harm for people and the society. So people share the content on the social media platforms to confirm their existing belief without thinking much about the impact of the content and just for fun. And they see such content regularly. So those who see such content regularly, there is a tendency to share more content on the platforms. And they do share because the friends will appreciate, and the thinking that the friends will spread their thoughts and liking. And they also do share the content because the friends and contacts may admire them. And we also find that they do share the content knowing whether it is true or the false. So this is all from me. So any kinds of questions, idea, or addition is highly appreciated. I'm ready to answer. Thank you. Thank you very much for your passion and listening to me.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Aminul Islam. Well, I think there were a lot of insights that we got from your presentation. But one insight I got is that, yes, people, when you presented the information or the data about the respondents and their friends in real life versus their friends on online in social media, and how many of them were regular contacts, we could see a marked difference between them. And we could see that, we basically, the youth really just had a small circle of friends compared to their social media friends. And if we take a look at it, then their significant others is really a lot smaller than people who know them. But then maybe you can answer later on and just think about it after we have all the presenters. Why is it important for the respondents that they be admired and appreciated by people that they don't really know and they don't really care about? So why do they care about being appreciated by people they don't even care about? Because these are just friends in their social media. You don't really care about them, but why do you care to be appreciated by them? So that's quite a paradox, what's in the mind of the youth. And then second, is that you gave reasons why they share misinformation or whatever information they come across. And you say that some reasons are confirmation bias, they don't think about it, being exposed to such news, to have fun, etc. So, and it seems that you were not happy with the reasons that you found out in the survey. So, just relating this to digital citizenship or digital responsibility, what reasons would make you happy? You know, if having sharing just for fun doesn't make you happy, then what reasons would were you expecting? You know, in the light of digital citizenship. So, thank you very much, Mr. Aminul. We will see you later, and I'm posing questions already to the panelists uh, because you know many insights already are being gained. So, thank you very much. Kindly unshare your presentation. And now we will move to the third presenter. So we have Dr. Sarkar Barbak Karmal. And what he will be presenting is, you know, what is hateful. We see a lot of hate speech in the internet. A lot of hate speech also given we may have been experiencing ourselves. But what really is hate speech or and what is hateful? And if we look at the language, the Bangla language, what are the terms there that are hateful and what are not? And maybe also it depends on who says something which is hateful or not. So to enlighten us, we have Dr. Karmal to be presenting. So the screen is yours and please unmute him.
Thank you, sir. Assalamu alaikum and good morning to everyone. So as Professor Jude introduced me, I am Shakar Barbak Karmal. I work at the Media Studies and Journalism Department of University of Prevalence, Bangladesh. And I'm going to talk about a research in progress, what to consider hateful, understanding of hate speech among Bangladeshi youth. In this work, I have my colleague Muhammad Amin Islam as my co-researcher. So let's get into this. As our panel chair, Professor Jude was already mentioning that hate speech has become a global concern in recent years, and we are experiencing hate speech everywhere. Even we, the people we are in the panel, in the panel and also in the audience, many of us might have experienced hate speech at many places and offline spaces and online spaces. And it has really become a global concern because hate speech doesn't only remain in the space of speech or in the realm of spoken words. It converts into actions, hate crimes. What the other academics have been observing as well, the high prevalence of hate speech is epidemic in real and virtual spaces or mediatized public sphere. One thing is very difficult to go along with whenever we want to work with hate speech, that there is no universally accepted definition of hate speech. So as Dr. Jude was mentioning that we are trying to work on detection of Bangla hate speech online. So it will be a huge challenge. It is a huge challenge that we do not have universally accepted definition of hate speech. There are different organizations, different digital platforms, they are defining hate speech differently, though there are similarities. For example, if we go with the definition given by Facebook, that reads a direct attack on people based on race, ethnicity, national origin, religious affiliation, sexual orientation, caste, sex, gender identity, and serious disease or disability would be called hate speech. YouTube have similar but a little different content promote violence or hatred against individuals or groups based on any of the following attributes. And then we have the similar attributes like age, caste, disability, ethnicity, gender identity and expression, nationality, race, immigration status, religion, sex, gender, and so on. Google have a similar kind of definition of hate speech. I'm not going into that today. United Nations has its stance on hate speech and trying to take a heavy and serious stance about hate speech. And United Nations has defined hate speech as any kind of communication, speech, writing, or behavior that attacks or uses pejorative or discriminatory language with reference to a person or a group on the basis of who they are. In other words, based on their religion, ethnicity, nationality, race, color, descent, gender, or other identity factors. In a nutshell, we can say that hate speech is an extreme form of prejudice, nationalism, racism, ethnocentrism, intolerance, bigotry, sexism, and chauvinism. Many studies have been done in the Western Hemisphere, and these studies also in the Eastern, but not much in Bangladesh. And these studies indicate that there is a strong association between hate speech and violence in the society, as I was mentioning a while ago. Hate-motivated behaviors can put harmful impact on individual, social, and national level. And of course, there are research studies on this, but also we all know this from our personal experiences. Let us talk a bit about the impact of hate speech in Bangladesh. So I have accumulated here 3 experiences that is related to hate speech in last 10 years. The first being on September 29, 2012, Buddhist temple in Ramu in the Cox's Bazar district of Bangladesh was attacked and destroyed by a mob after an anonymous person posted a photograph of a desecrated Quran on a local Buddhist boy's Facebook profile. So the boy was actually framed, the profile was hacked, and this picture was posted by another person. And based on that, people, they formed mob and they went to attack the Buddhist people. They vandalized, actually they burned down temples and housings of the monks. And this is an image that I collected from one of the leading Bangladeshi dailies, Dhaka Tribune. So some burnt artifacts in the incident. Another incident that took place on October 30th in 2016, Hindu temples and homes were vandalized by a mob in Brahmanbaria, another district in Bangladesh. In Brahmanbaria's Nasirnagar Upazila, based on an alleged Facebook post, quote unquote, hurting Muslim sentiments. And this incident left 10 temples and 100 homes destroyed, 100 injured, and several hundred people homeless. Again, the source is Dhaka Tribune, the image source is also Dhaka Tribune. The most recent one I want to talk about happened in October 2019. And in this incident, at least 4 people were killed and more than 100 others injured as religious zealots clashed with police in Fola, another district in Bangladesh, Fola's Borhanuddin Upazila, over a hate conversation spread through Facebook and its messenger. The sources, the leading Bangladeshi English daily, the Daily Star. So I think these 3 examples can easily tell us that what hate speech can do, and also it tells us that in Bangladesh we are getting into these brawls more than often. And of course, at the very beginning, Professor Jude was talking about the digital profile of Bangladesh, which has been developed, improved in the velocity of a rocket or missile, whatever you might say, or let's say electricity. So in early 2000, rarely any Bangladeshi would use a mobile phone. In the year 2021, we have more than 100%. This is very funny to say that more than 100% mobile penetration. If we consider the number of SIMs, the cell phones, then the number of connections actually is more than the number of people living in the country. So that's how the penetration is more than 100. So it is the actual penetration is also 100 or close to 100%. Also, in digital space, we are representing ourselves more and more. According to BTRC, about 60% of the people have internet access, and most of these people would use at least one social media, that is Facebook, and mostly young people are using the social media. And probably many of you know that Dhaka became the second largest Facebook city in 2018. So that's this profile tells us that we need to be more cautious in the online realm. Otherwise, and the digital literacy, the presentation from Aminul already gave us a hint that there is lack of digital literacy among the youth in this country. And probably this is why hate crimes are increasing, hate speeches are increasing, and this is really a big concern. Now, when we talk about prohibiting hate speech, it is again a very difficult thing to talk about, to think about, to work on, because there are people who would say that when we would try to regulate hate speech or prohibit hate speech, this may curtail freedom of speech, because the blur between a statement that is meant to be a normal thing or something funny, something entertaining, and something offensive is very thin. The blur is very, very thin. It is very difficult to identify sometimes what is a sarcastic note and what is an offensive note. And so this is quite a logical debate that when we try to prohibit hate speech, it may curtail freedom of speech. But still, when something has such negative impacts, we need to try. United Nations formulated a strategic plan of action on hate speech to enhance their efforts to address root causes and drivers of hate speech and enable effective UN responses to the impact of hate speech on societies. And similar efforts are taken by many academics. Efforts are being dedicated to enable automatic detection of hate speech online in different languages, especially as English is the international language. There are some work already in progress in detection of hate speech in English. But when it comes to my mother tongue, Bangla, the main language in Bangladesh, Bangla, it is very difficult because still there is no taxonomy on what are the types of hate speech in this country, or what are the words that might be considered hateful. So there are a lot of works to do. So this is just the beginning of a bigger study that is aiming to contribute to the effort by developing a taxonomy in Bangla. So the objectives of the present study is to investigate the understanding of hate speech among Bangladeshi students belonging to the minority religions, to explore the views of the side group of the phenomena in Bangladesh in terms of prevalence, types, perpetrators, targets or victims, social impact, and possible solutions. Also to know the experience of the side group regarding hate speech. Methodology, we adopted a qualitative methodology. We have done in-depth interviews, and as we are in a pandemic situation, we use technology. So we conducted the interviews through Zoom, and with the permission of the respondents, we recorded the video, and this is a representative picture that how we use Zoom. Okay, and just like I blurred the face of the respondent, we have that sort of ethical disclaimer to the respondent that the respondent will never be identified anywhere and they can speak freely. We so far presenting in this study 15 participants, and the sampling technique was convenience and snowball across the country. Each interview took about 30 to 40 minutes, and afterwards we did thematic and discourse analysis. So the respondents were university students belonging to the minority religions. Among the 15, we had 10 Hindu, 3 Christian, and 2 Buddhist. Among them, 9 were male and 6 were female. They were aged between 19 and 26 years. Their origin were mostly urban, and then there were 4 rural, 8 urban, 4 rural, and 3 semi-urban context, their origin. Also, the respondents were mostly extrovert people. They used to mix with people. They express themselves offline and online. But a couple of them said that they were not so comfortable in interacting with people who are not so well known to them. But in their close circle, they are quite comfortable. Understanding of hate speech among the study population. So the question was that which words or behaviors they associate with hate speech. And if we look into the tag cloud, we can see many things like mental harassment, hurting others by words, hurting religious sentiments. So the words, those hurt others by words, those are hate speeches according to them. For some, and we can see by the color and size of the text that these are the words coming from most respondents. Also, they talked about demeaning people. So the words those would demean people can be considered as hate speech. Words or statements that would have religious sentiments can be hate speech. That incite sort of hostility can be considered hate speech, and so on. Also, we asked for a definition from them without thinking much, and then each of them shared a definition, and I am sharing few of them here. So, for example, they said that any word, image, action, behavior that may express hatred, hostility, disrespect to an individual, group, or institution can be considered as hate speech. Hate speech is a form of extremist communication brought out of sheer prejudice and hatred, born against a certain caste, creed, religion, etc. Also, they say spoken or written words intended to disrespect, demean, or hurt other people for who they are. For example, women, follower of particular faith or ideology, etc. So we can see that this group who were interviewed have a good understanding of hate speech. Also, we asked them to give some words that they consider as hateful, just single words. They have given words, but the words are mostly in Bangla, and I think we still need to work on this with the other linguists that how to process. But I can share a few of them, like there are words like Jahannami, words like kafir. I think the Muslim people can easily understand these words. Jahannami, the people who will go to the hell. So telling someone that you are a Jahannami, you will go to hell. Or kafir, you are a non-believer. That sort of word. Calling someone atheist, they consider hateful. Also, there is this expression in Bangla, me manush, which if you translate roughly would be woman, but it is not just woman. It is calling women in a very derogatory way. So there are such Bangla words, those we need to process more before we come up with a list of words that can be considered hateful in Bangla. So we'll be working on that. We asked for their views on the phenomenon of hate speech in Bangladesh. For example, whether they feel the hate speech, prevalence of hate speech is high in Bangladesh, or the prevalence is low or moderate. And most of them said, actually, I think all of them said that prevalence is very high. Some use the word rampant, horrific, or massive to talk about the prevalence of hate speech in Bangladesh. The root causes of such prevalence, they identified as lack of moral education, moral and ethical education. They identified as the most important reason behind such prevalence. Also, they talked about superiority complex, lack of awareness, decaying in moral standards, unconsciousness. So according to them, many people do use hateful words, but they don't even understand that these are hateful, or they are hurting other people, or they are discriminating or demeaning people based on their gender or color or race or ethnicity. So that is also a reason. And there are some other reasons they said, like extremity, hatred, or disrespect to other race or religions or beliefs, and so on. According to the respondents, the main perpetrators of hate speech are individuals, groups, or communities, like political parties. They spread hate speech. Also, some religious groups, they say, propagate hate speech. Also, they talked about religious speakers. For example, in gatherings, there would be, for example, the Muslims would have Waz Mahfil, and according to them, in the Waz Mahfils, many speakers, they talk in a very derogatory way about other religions and about women issues. Then this sacred place become a place to spread hate speech. The channels they identified or observed most is social media. According to them, social media is the most used channel to spread hate speech. Also, they talked about political meetings, religious speech, and word of mouth. Types of hate speech in Bangladesh, according to the respondents, the gender-based hate speech is the most prevalent one. Also, religious and political hate speech, body shaming are prevalent in this country. Main victims of hate speech, if we consider the types, then the question is answered already, and that's happened, what they say. According to them, women are the most the victims of hate speech at most times. Also, the religious and ethnic minorities, third gender, celebrities, girls, they are also the target or victims of hate speech, but the most important is the women. They get victimized everywhere almost, and very frequently. Also, we talked about the respondents' experience of hate speech, and most of them experienced it. Some experienced quite often. Only, I think, one respondent said that she always, go with her brothers whenever going out, and she doesn't go online. She doesn't use Facebook. So probably that's why she did not experience any hate speech online or at other places. But otherwise, all experienced in one way or the other. And the usual target of the hate speech were their gender identity, their faith, body image. Most of them experienced hate speech online, especially in Facebook, also in school, community, and streets from unknown people. And perpetrators included friends and acquaintances, classmates, unknown people. And very unfortunately, one respondent said that a teacher was the source of the hate speech. But that could be, something very exceptional because we usually think that the teachers are high of moral and ethical grounds. Most of the respondents ignored when they were attacked by the hate speakers because they think that these people, these people who use hate speech, who spread hate speech, they would not listen to us. So it's better not to engage with them. Also, they thought that if engaged with them in argument, things will get worse. Maybe there will be, the person will get viral online because of this argument about hate speech. So they didn't want. And most importantly, the respondent said that as a conscious person, I cannot act like them. Using hate speech in response to hate speech will make me one of them. But a couple of respondents reported to police after being attacked online with evidence that how they were attacked online. So I would say that these respondents, they showed a good sense of digital responsibility, that they mostly ignored the hate speeches and they did not engage with them. Also, they reported to police the incidents of hate speech with proper documentation. But couple of respondents reacted, actually one reacted online and one offline. And one said that I couldn't take it anymore and lost control. And another one had a little more aggressive stance that we should not spare them. We must teach them a lesson. Okay, so these were the respondents' experience of hate speech. They also think about how can we solve this problem, and they think that appropriate moral and ethical education at school and in family should be there. And some respondents stress that in school we put so much stress on the children to get good grades and all, but we do not really focus on their moral well-being, their mental well-being. So we should focus more on the moral and ethical education. We should also focus on the religious education as well, because religion also teach good practices. Of course, the basic teachings of religion that talks about morality and ethics. They talked about stricter laws and punishing the offender seriously, that there are examples created and the others would, looking at the example, be silent. They also talked about regulating internet, especially social media, to reduce the hate speech, the spread of hate speech, and of course raising awareness. And they say that mass media should play an active role in it, and promoting digital media literacy is a must, according to them. So few conclusive remarks is that prevalence of hate speech is high in Bangladesh, like many other places. Main targets of hate speech are women and minorities, both religious and ethnic. Also gender minorities, like the third gender or transgender people. The respondents have shown good understanding of hate speech, its prevalence in Bangladesh, perpetrators of hate speeches, channels of hate speeches, and victims. Also, they think about how to solve the problem. The respondents have good sense of digital responsibility. However, the bigger picture cannot be drawn by looking at university students only, because these students, they are in the university and they have gone through many such discussions, maybe at different places. They probably learned about digital media literacy, and so they are more aware of the situations. But if we consider the bigger community, then there are people who are not so educated. There are people who don't have any idea about the technology literacy or digital media literacy. And so there might be some other picture revealed. if included in this study. So that will be actually our next step to gather a better picture, more bigger picture of the society, and also collecting more words and types of hate speech that are prevalent in our society. Also, we would look for the root causes of hate speech. So thank you very much. That's all from my side. Your comments, suggestions will be appreciated. I believe that that will help us improving our work. And of course, if you have any question, I will try my best to answer that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Barba. What is so interesting about a qualitative study is that it provides us a lot of insights. And therefore, you know, there are many things that I've gathered from your presentation. And, you know, some questions that just came to my mind. You presented 3 examples of, you know, untoward incidents that were a product of hate speech, such as the destruction of the Buddhist temple, the destruction of Hindu temple and homes, and also the clash between the police and religious zealots. You know, taking off from your example, it seems that these were done and perpetrated by political and religious strategies. They do this, they undertake hate speech to spread or push their agenda against particular social groups. So would a discussion of digital responsibility with them be adequate to stop them? And if not, you know, what should be an adequate response to these groups? Okay, so maybe you can answer later. Next is, I was taking a look at your you know, words that are considered hurtful. And looking at that, you know, what is hate speech, and the answers of your respondents, they said hurtful words, demeaning people, incitement, mental harassment. And it seems that there is an aspect of effect. You know, it is hate speech if there is a potential harm or potential effect on people. So I'm just trying to make a statement about this based on your data. So words by themselves are not hateful. They become hateful depending on their potential negative impact. So is this a statement that you would agree or disagree about? My next question will be about your data showing that most of the hate speech are gender-based. And these are being perpetrated against women, girls, and third gender. And then also we saw from the data that body image shaming is one of the hate speech that is propagated. So maybe you can elaborate why these were your findings, and what is it between gender, women, girls, third gender, and body image shaming, and what is the meaning of this in Bangladeshi society. So these are a few of the questions, and also I think our audience would also wonder how come you have no Muslim respondents among, you know. So I think you just have to explain why your respondents were 10 Hindu, 3 Christian, and 2 Buddhists, and there were no Muslims. So these are things that we can spearhead later in our discussion. So thank you very much, Dr. Barba. So now we're moving to our last speaker, and she is Ms. Dilshad Hossein Dodol. She's also a faculty from our department, and she would be talking about social media usage among young Bangladeshi politicians. Well, when we talk about politicians and we talk about digital responsibility and hate speech, and in fact, a while ago, Dr. Barbak mentioned political party as one of the sources of hate speech. And therefore, maybe Ms. Dilshad can shed light on this. Are young Bangladeshi politicians really capable of being this digital responsible. So without further ado, let's listen to Ms. Dilshad. Okay, kindly unmute her so that she can do her presentation. Yeah, the screen is yours, Ms. Dilshad.
Okay, thank you everyone. Thank you, sir. I hope everyone is doing fine. I'm Dilshad Hussain Dodul, and I have done a research on how the young Bangladeshi politicians are using social media for their political communication. So as I have been seeing that there are so many audiences who are not from Bangladesh. For them, I want to elaborate something at first, that in Bangladesh, young politicians, especially the students who are studying in universities, they are a very big part of Bangladesh politics. And often they even decide, like the policies of government in many ways. And that is why I have chosen this topic, that how they actually uses the social media to conduct their political communication. So first of all, I'd like to say that Bangladesh is the country of a population of 160 million, and a third of whom are and also, like, we have 48 million active social media users. And the last year in 2018, Dhaka was ranked second in position among the cities with highest number of active Facebook users, where Bangkok was the first and Dhaka was the second. And still, there are so many people who do not have any idea about the social media called Twitter. So in my presentation and in my research, I tried to portray that how the young politicians of Bangladesh are using social media, Facebook, and not using Twitter, and what are the reason behind it, and what are their trends of using social media, and how the digital responsibilities and matters about hate speeches are working behind these issues. So also, Twitter has proven to be a very strong social media platform for mass political communication around the globe. In 2008, we have seen that Barack Obama used Twitter and Facebook to do his election campaign, and in our neighboring country, India, Narendra Modi has been using social media such as Twitter very successfully to conduct his political communication. Even Imran Khan from Pakistan, he is also very active in Twitter. But in Bangladesh, we see the different and opposite scenario when it comes using social media by young politicians. And actually, overall, the politicians, most of the politicians of Bangladesh feel comfortable to use Facebook. So if we go through some literature, we can see that many American election campaign researchers attributed Barack Obama as the first social media president of USA after the victory of last national election. After the victory of 2016 national election, actually, Barack Obama has successfully used Twitter, MySpace, YouTube, and Facebook as an effective tool in communicating and mobilizing people. He spends around $2 million in election campaigning and built a social networking site known as mybarackobama.com. Also, a study by Adam Smithy and Sahib Shaheen titled Social Media and Social Mobilization in the Middle East, a survey of research on the Arab Spring, found that social media's worldwide reach not only allowed protesters across Arab nations to share ideas and tactics with each other, but show the protest globally, helping them gain international support, which in turn incited even more Arab citizens. And then I have used another literature to make it clear that how worldwide social media is being used for political communication. And my third research literature I have reviewed, which was mine, which I have done in 2015. That and in that the research was about how Bangladeshi politicians are using Facebook for election campaign. And what I found that Facebook covers a little portion of voters. It is the place of opinion leaders having the ability to shape the opinions of other voters. A potential educated part, which we call as civil society, is effective users in Facebook. They often create social discourses. So Facebook help candidates fix their campaign strategies. So this research was in 2015, but still, when I am doing my current research about how young politicians, especially university students who are involved in politics, use social media, we find that they are actually a part of civil society and also a part of decision maker society. So the objective of my study was to explore the likeliness or unlikeliness of Bangladeshi young politicians to use Facebook and Twitter for mass political communication. And the second objective of my study is their experience in using these platforms for political purposes, as well as whether they exercise digital responsibility in the process. Okay, so my research question, I have 3 research questions. First is, to what extent do social media platforms help young Bangladeshi politicians fulfill their political communication objective? By objective, I wanted to explore that how they actually meet their goal through social media, like meeting people, reaching most of the voters or their followers, how they do so. And my second research question is, what are their understandings and practices of digital responsibility? And the third one is, what are their views regarding the relationship between digital responsibility and political propaganda? So I have followed in-depth interview method, and I have interviewed 20 young politicians of Bangladesh from different political parties. I have used snowball sampling because it was tough for me to reach out young politicians, but most of them actually study in public university, which has been closed during pandemic. So I have used snowball sampling to reach out to them. And I have gone through a theoretical framework which is called digital public sphere. I believe that Facebook and Twitter is now working as a public sphere for digital citizens, where people can meet with others and share their opinion, express their opinion. So I believe that social media such as Facebook and Twitter is a public sphere, and young politicians are using these digital public spheres to reach out to their followers through social media. So I have divided the political parties into, I have divided in 4 parts the political parties. First, the student wing of ruling Aum League. The name of that student wing is Bangladesh Chhatr League or Bangladesh Student League. And then the second is Student League for second largest political party, JCD, Jatiyotabadi or National Students League. I want to explain here something that by the second largest political party is actually the opposition party of Bangladesh, but as they are not in the parliament, we cannot call them opposition party, and that is why I have defined them as second largest political party. So the third one is left-leaning political organization. We have so much left-leaning political student organization in our public universities, which is like Bangladesh Chhatr Union, Communist Party of Bangladesh, Bangladesh Student Federation, and Bangladesh Student Front. And fourth is newly formed student organization, which has been formed in 2018 basically, and which is student rights, a platform to serve student rights. The Bengali of that organization is Chhatro Adhikar Songrakhan Porishod, and the second one is Islami Shashon Tantra Andolon. The Islamic Shashon Tantra Andolon actually works, to establish Islamic federation in Bangladesh. So these are I have my 20 of my respondents are from these 4 four genre of political parties. As you can see, 8 are from the student wing of ruling party, because it was easier for me to reach them out. And then 5 of them was from the second largest political party, and the 4 of them was left-leaning political organization, and the 3 of them is newly formed student organization. Why this discrepancy between the number? Because the newly formed the activists from newly formed student organization and from the opposition are not available in university campus, because of there are some problems, political problems with them, and that is why it was tough for me to reach them out, and that is why there are some number discrepancy. So first of all, I want to explain the trends of using Facebook by young politicians of Bangladesh. So first of all, the Facebook is the most popular media among young politicians. Almost 20 of the interviewers said that they have been using Facebook for their political communication. And also, Instagram is becoming very popular, as 3 of my respondents told me that they have started using Instagram for their political communication. And also, accounts of opposition party and newly formed student wings are not verified allegedly due to group reporting by activists from student wings for ruling party. As you can see that only 3 verified account of Facebook for young politicians. So when I have asked other young politicians that why their Facebook account is not verified, especially the opposition party and the newly formed student parties, they have said that they often face group reporting by ruling party, which means that the activists of ruling party actually report their profile, their account, and that is why they are not able to verify their accounts. And also, there is leaders from student wings of ruling party try different social media platform than others. Which I have found that the young politicians who are the part of the ruling party, they use Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, all of them. But on the other hand, the young politicians who follows the other political parties, such as Bangladesh Nationalist Party or left-leaning party, they only uses, or most of them only uses Facebook. So, and though most of their posts are public, but often it is used to share personal information such as photos and their personal stories. So, and also leaders from other organizations than ruling party spends more time and give more posts in Facebook. If you can see that there are 10 of my respondents say that they give 2 to 3 posts regularly in Facebook, and they spend like 2 to 3 hours in Facebook regularly. And what I found that leaders from the other organization rather than ruling political party spends more time and gives more posts in Facebook, because they have that urge to communicate, to contact with their followers more often. They want to be connected with their followers more often. And also that actually the reason behind it, as they said, that they communicate as one of the activists called Mahmudul Hassan said that we communicate our message through Facebook, as mainstream media do not cover our activities much. Therefore, we depend on Facebook to conduct our activities nationwide, and that is why they have to be active on social media all the time. So that is the main reason behind their spending more time in social media like Facebook. So the nature of post. So I have divided into like 4 parts about the nature of post. First, the student wing of ruling party, Bangladesh Student League. They actually use the social media, especially Facebook, to promoting the positive activities of their party, and then promoting supreme leaders of the party. In Bangladesh, most of the young leaders actually praise their supreme leader. Like for them, our Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina is their supreme leader. So they used to praise their supreme leader like Sheikh Hasina and Sheikh Wajid Joy in their social media page. And also they use their social media to celebrate important days like Victory Days or National Mourning Days or the birthday of our father of the nation. So they use social media to celebrate their important days, and also they use to circulate the news of the organization activities. Firstly, their mother organization, which is Bangladesh Awami League, and secondly, their organization, which is Bangladesh Student League. And then like the five of them actually have told me that they use the social media to fighting fake news or propaganda of opposition party against the ruling party. So as they have said that in many issues, especially in last few years, the opposition parties, specifically Bangladesh Nationalist Party and Jamaat-e-Islami, use social media to spread propaganda against Bangladesh Awami League, and they use Facebook and Twitter to confront those propaganda in social media. And also they use Facebook to promote the leaders they follow. In Bangladesh, there is a culture that the young politicians actually follow some of their local leaders to, to gain some support from them and to have a better career in politics in future. So they also use social media to promote their local leaders and also promoting personal political activities, like what are they doing in campus and how are they contributing to their political parties. So, and then the nature of post of student wing for second largest political party, which I want to define as the opposition, called Jatiyotabadi Chapter Dal. So they use the social media for promoting the activities of their party. And also the most important thing they do through social media is they circulate message from their supreme leader of the party. One of the central one of the leader from central committee named Jui said that our leader Tariq Rahman lives in London now and often comes to live in Facebook to give us direction. I share his instruction among the activists of my party through Facebook. So this is one of the most important thing they do, the activists of Jatiyotabadi Chapter Dal do through social media. And also they use social media to criticize different activities, whichever political or national activities by ruling party, even if it involves with decision about national policy or any political decision. They actually use social media to criticize those decisions, and also promoting their organizational activities and promoting leaders they follow. Okay. So the left-leaning political organizations actually use social media, especially Facebook, to organize protests and movements. In Bangladesh, the left-leaning young politicians which are involved in left-leaning politics are often play a very important role to conduct protest against any problematic decision by the government. So they use social media to organize the protest and movements, and also criticizing different initiatives for students and others by ruling party. And also, as I have said, conducting movements not only in university campus or not only in capital, but also nationwide or in other universities nationwide. And also promoting their ideologies, like most of them are leaning to left ideologies such as communism. So they use their social media to promote the ideologies of their political party. And they also promote their mother institution for such as Bangladesh Chapter Union, Bangladesh Student Union. Their mother organization is Bangladesh Communist Party of Bangladesh. So they often use their social media to promote their mother institution and promote their leaders. But they are very aware about that they do not promote their self activities in social media. Okay, and what newly formed student organization, what the young politicians of newly formed student organization do, they organizing political activities nationwide, conducting protest and movement. As I have said before, that in last few years, Bangladesh government has been observing several movements by students, and which has been led by this newly formed student organization. So, and they do the post to connect more people to their political, to their organization, and explain their activities more than other organizations, because as they are newly formed, most of the people, the follower of these newly formed student organizations are young, so they do not know that what they are actually following, which ideology they are following. So they explain these newly formed student organizations explain what they actually want to achieve in social media, and they are very active in social media as well. And they always criticize the activities of student wing of ruling party, as they claimed in their interview that often they got threats and other form of challenges from the leaders from ruling party. So they use social media to inform their followers about this, and also they want to promote young leaders through social media. So how they interact with mass people through Facebook. So and here it comes about the digital responsibility, reaction and comments. Most of the leaders from Bangladesh Student League mentioned that they get more reaction in their personal photos and posts than political posts. And most of the leaders from opposition party mentioned that they get more reaction in their political post. Okay, and leaders from left-leaning organization and newly formed organizations are preferred to not share their personal information in Facebook, because they fear that they might create some problem to their political career. As Akhtar Hussain, one of the young leader from newly formed political party, said, "We are being monitored and chosen not to share. We are being monitored. So we have chosen not to share our personal life in social media." So, in this way, they are being digitally responsible by showing not their personal information in social media. But this is the question: if their fear is, being monitored, is the part of digital responsibility by the government or not? So replying the comments, 10 of the respondents say that they reply every comments related to their post, and also replying comments depend on the place of living of activists. There are some interviewees who said that as their followers living nationwide in every corner of the nation, they try to reply their comments to encourage them to involve in social media with them. And replying to hate speeches, 8 of the respondents said that they involve in logical argument. They do not spread propaganda against propaganda. Instead, they involve in logical argument when they faces propaganda or fake news in social media. 3 of the respondents said they confront hate speech because it involves their party image. While being asked that if they confront the hate speech with another hate speech or another propaganda, they have said, "We follow tit for tat." And lastly, 2 respondents said that they actually filtered their comments, so no one can post hate speech on their social media. So and 2 of them said that they do not confront hate speeches yet. So while being asked about the benefit of using Facebook, they have said that most of the interviewed said that reaching maximum people nationwide and beyond. By beyond, they have meant that we have more than 20 million people living outside in Bangladesh. So they also want to reach to them. And the second is Facebook is serving as an alternative media for leaders from second largest party and newly formed parties. As there are the leaders who have said that Facebook is helping us to circulate real news about our activities, as mainstream media are biased towards government and often manipulated information. Therefore, party followers rely more on social media than mainstream media nowadays. And also, they have said that Facebook has easy interface, it is easy to share news, photos, videos, lives in Facebook. And most of the activists political activists living nationwide, they find it easier to use Facebook than Twitter. So that is why Facebook is more popular among young politicians. And they also faces some challenges, as I have said. First one is Facebook remove or block accounts due to mass reporting. When the young politicians, as I have said before, that there are a tendency of some student group who report the account of some young politicians, and then Facebook actually block them or remove their account from Facebook. And also legal boundaries set by government to control social media images. We have laws called Digital Security Act, which is often used to control social media usage. And also our young politicians are facing problem about that, as they have said in their interview, that they are facing several problems because of that law. And also confronting fake news. This is true that though all of the young politicians are saying that they do not spread fake news or propaganda through social media, but we often see propagandas and fake news, about different political party in social media. So this is another challenges of using social media for political communications. So to move forward to trends of using Twitter, we have seen that only 9 of the young politicians use Twitter, but not regularly. Young leaders use Twitter mainly to follow their senior leaders, especially the supreme leaders and ministers of Bangladesh. Young leaders from Awami League use Twitter to promote party activities in international public sphere. And leaders from left-leaning parties follows international leaders and tries to connect with leaders of same ideology. And most of them do not post content in Twitter. Rather, they retweet the post of their supreme leaders or other organizations. As I have said, that they are not active. They are actually retweeting others' Twitter, others' tweet. So, and the reaction on post in Twitter is very low, as they do not have much followers in Twitter. As I have said earlier, that in Bangladesh there are not Twitter doesn't have much followers or users. So obviously the young leaders do not have much followers in Twitter as well, so they do not prefer to use Twitter to post something about their activities. And Twitter is and all of them actually accepted that Twitter is effective to communicate internationally, but it failed to get popularity among mass people in Bangladesh. So when I've tried to find why the reasons of unpopularity of Twitter, I found that the complex interface. Most of the young leaders said that they find Twitter more complex than Facebook. Sharing photos, videos, or live streaming is more complex in Twitter than Facebook. So, and also Twitter does not allow long posts due to its character limit. Twitter has a 45 character limit, so they cannot post long, long status in Twitter. So they prefer to do it in Facebook. And it's more complex for Bengali language, because for Bengali language, the character limit is lesser than English language. So it is not easier for us to post in Twitter in Bengali. So mass people do not follow Twitter, and maximum posts are in English. So the Bengali speaking people do not follow Twitter because of that. And they have a perception that Twitter is not for mass people, but it's for the opinion leaders or policymakers. And also senior leaders are not active in Twitter. Our young politicians are very keen to follow their senior leaders in social media, and as they do not find their senior leaders in social Facebook in Twitter, they prefer to use Facebook than Twitter more. So the digital responsibility and political propaganda. So according to this, according to the question about the digital responsibility and political propaganda, I have found that allegation of spreading propaganda against other political parties are very common. So though all the interviewers have said that they do not spread propaganda, but when they are talking about the other political parties, they are saying that actually that student political party are spreading propaganda or fake news against us. And there is the law to ensure digital responsibility. Government has implemented a law to ensure digital responsibility, and young politicians are also bound to follow that law. But often and this law is to confront propaganda and fake news. So I would say that government has partly fulfilled their digital responsibility, but it is still that allegation, but we still find allegation of using this law in favor of ruling party, as the other opposition party young politicians are saying, and also criticism about the implementation of the law in different issues. The most of the young politicians who are from the opposition party, left-leaning party, or the newly formed political party, they have said that in different issues they have seen that the misuse of the digital security law, so and which is against the against digital responsible behavior also, and also allegation of social media surveillance by government. So and this is also involved with digital responsibility, and also digital and the last question was the digital responsibility and freedom of expression, does it clash? So the thing is that by implementing Digital Security Act, does the government is being responsible, or the people who are using this law against one another, in fact in politics, are they being responsible digitally? This is the question. And if it poses threat to the freedom of expression of other young politicians or of of the activists of other political parties, this is also a big question for this study. So to conclude, I want to say that in my study, I have found that maximum of our respondents said that they are being digitally responsible, but with the law Digital Security Act, and with the other allegations such as surveillance and monitoring social media, it is really tough to practice the freedom of expression in Bangladesh. So thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Dilshad. Again, this was a qualitative study. So it gave us, again, a lot of room for insight. And in fact, while you were speaking, a lot of questions already entered my mind. Of course, it is obvious that young politicians would use social media, knowing that many Bangladeshis have already turned to social media. And if you want to get your messages across, you have no choice but to go towards social media. And especially that the mainstream media is not covering you because they do not find them newsworthy. And that's why they have to resort to other means. But there are certain questions that I have in mind. Like, for example, in the Bangladeshi media, we can read a lot of negative reports about young politicians, them being engaged in illicit and immoral acts, being troublemakers, being money makers. So in your opinion, is this a fair depiction of young politicians? Then I also have a question about, from your findings, one, it's like, what I gather is that young politicians use social media for propaganda purposes and not really for the good of society. Because as you mentioned, they only promote their leader and their party. They fight the propaganda of opposition parties. They follow local leaders. They criticize national activities. And then they are able to give instructions to their cadres. So basically, it's self-serving. Okay, so it's not for the good of society. So is that a correct, understanding of the results? And then in tackling hate speech, you mentioned that young politicians utilize logical argument and tit for tat. And are these effective strategies against hate speech and perhaps Dr. Barbak can also bring his point of view here, since he studied hate speech, and also what is the reach of the young politicians in social media? Is this just limited to their political party, or is it really reaching, the masses? So is it really worth their time to engage in it or not? So these are some questions that we will ask you to answer later on. And to the audience, please to ask questions. I simply ask questions to start the discussion. So kindly unshare your presentation, Ms. Dilshad Hossein. And let's now go to Ms. Nandita. Okay, so I posted a question to you early on. Maybe you can answer. Okay, kindly unmute.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you for the question. I read for my clarification that will the embrace of digital responsibility among the youth solve the negative observed in TikTok? So as we have seen from the survey that the last two questions were very interconnected, that the banning of TikTok and the digital responsibility, the increment of digital responsibility among the youth. I found from the survey that it might be one reason might be that the lack of understanding about digital responsibility, the lack of understanding about digital citizenship is yet to grow among the youth, as the studies show that the opinions were split in almost two halves. That if I repeat the statistics, that when we talked about being digital responsible, only 36% of the youth were in agreement, while 48% of the youth were in disagreement, that digital responsibility might not solve the situation. Whereas through the literatures of Article 19 and other relevant studies also showed that if we embrace digital responsibility more, and if we integrate the digital literacy among the youth from their childhood, then it might be the case that they will be more responsible while they are using any kind of social media app.
Yeah, but look, let's just cut to the chase here, Ms. Nandita. TikTok, you have 15 seconds.
Yes.
In 15 seconds, what you can do? You have to apply principles in persuasion in advertising. You have to grab your audience in 15 seconds. And therefore, how do you grab your audience? Then, of course, what sells? Sex sells. Controversy sells.
Yes, controversy sells.
Yeah, so that's why. So the question about digital responsibility and TikTok, are they compatible, given the nature of the medium?
I think that I think it the digital responsibility need to be enhanced, because if we go through banning, then there is a huge number of monetized TikTokers who are actually not spreading something hateful or something disgraceful or something humiliating or bullying others, but they are just performing and they are being monetized for that. And there are TikTok stars all over South Asia, even in Bangladesh. But with the understanding of digital literacy, I think that it might it might lead to us in a better situation.
So can you give examples of socially or digitally responsible TikTokers in Bangladesh?
It is hard to give example right now, but there are monetized TikTokers who actually do not bully each others.
Yeah. Okay, so that is really the controversy with TikTok. The
Yes.
nature of the medium is really 15 seconds, and you have to grab the attention or do something that will go viral, in that 15 seconds, which is similar to the principles in advertising when you try to do persuasive messages. And that's why we know that advertising is also controversial.
Yes.
Yeah, and that is what TikTok needs to grapple with, and that I think that needs to be defined. What is a digitally responsible TikTok? Okay, so let's. Does anybody from the panel want to add to this conversation? Or okay, so let's now go to Mr. Aminul. So I have some questions for you. Okay, so my first question is, why do Bangladeshi youth find it important to be admired and appreciated by people that they don't really know, care about, or have regular contact with? Let's kindly unmute Mr. Aminul.
Dr. Jude, as I understand, there are two parts of your questions. If I answer to the first part, that we have the social network both in real life and virtual life, but we try to understand to understand the factors that influence them to share the information on the social media platforms. But actually, their response was that they do expect the admiration from the friends who are in social life, real life. But we know that we have friends on real life as well, real life, who are also the friends in virtual life. So they only, the respondent only expect that if, as they do share the information without knowing that it is true or false, so they expect that they will be admired, and their personal image will be increased, and they will be thought by their peers that, okay, they know how much they know, because in most cases the misinformations are become very attractive in their interesting way. So as they don't know, they think that it would increase their personal image and personal, and they think that it is common good. So that's why they do expect from the friends they are in real life, not in the virtual life. But the friends who are in real life, they are also the friends in virtual life also. That's why.
Well, what can I say about this? I don't really think, and you correct me if I'm wrong, I don't really think that we share, or the youth shares things so that they can get the admiration of people who are real. Doesn't it have something to do more with addiction? Doesn't it have something to do more with getting the most likes as possible, because it feeds your ego and it triggers chemicals in the brain that will make you feel good about yourself?
That's true, Dr. Jut, I agree with you. So as our research was a very small scale, and that needs, the point you have raised, it needs more research on that topic. And I can assure that HCSMIL is working on some of the aspects. So in future, certainly we'll be exploring this issue in a broader perspective.
Okay. Yeah, because this is something that you need to dig out more in a deeper way and investigate, because I don't really think it's just just for informing your, what you have. How many did you say? They have 564 friends on social media on the average, and then they only have 10 friends in real life.
Yeah.
So that's 564 versus 10. And I don't think they're catering to the 10. And I don't think they're catering to the 564 because they don't really care about them. Isn't it that they're just catering to themselves to feel good, to
That's
get
true.
most number of likes, to feel validated, to feel that they exist?
I agree with you. So it needs more deeper understanding and investigation on the topic.
Yeah, and that's why qualitative
Sort of research
would
we
be
need and
to complement the present study.
yes.
The second question has to be about digital responsibility. So to be digitally responsible, what should be the reason for sharing news and information on social media?
Actually, here is the digital lack of digital literacy is the reason that, when the people do share the information, they think that they are doing good thing and they are doing as a good citizen in a virtual life. But in a sense, actually, that doesn't happen. So to answer your question, we must actually work more for increasing or enhancing the level of digital literacy among the people. And they must know what is fake, what is true, what is real. And then it would be really, really good thing to actually to be a digital responsible person on the social media.
Well, you mentioned one of the reasons why they share news and information is due to confirmation bias. Can you elaborate what is confirmation bias?
Actually, in a Bangla, if I say, actually people wants to confirm their belief, thoughts and ideas that in relation to the others. How, for example, I think that, okay, I have done a nice presentation right a few minutes back. I want to think that, but if someone says me, yeah, you have done a good job, then okay, fine. Then I say, okay, I have done a good job. So this is how it actually happened in real life. So we want to examine, we want to check our thought by sharing that, okay, whether, and we want to examine by share, like, and other emotions by sharing the information on the real life, so on the virtual spaces. So this is how confirmation bias happens. So we tend to share the information that we want to confirm our belief, thoughts, and emotions as well.
Well, yesterday when I was sharing my, when I was speaking in the plenary, I mentioned there that nowadays there are several gatekeepers for news, and algorithm is one of the gatekeepers for news. And when we talk about algorithm, basically you get the news in your feed, in your Facebook feed, depending on the information that you are giving to that Facebook. So information about your age, about your sex, about
choice,
what
personal
school you
choices.
came from, your location, and also your habits. What do you like? What do you share? So these are the algorithms are created based on that. And therefore, when you get feeds in your Facebook, these are based on your algorithms that you have provided.
Yeah,
And therefore, most likely, you would get news that confirms your own biases.
also,
And I think that is where confirmation bias comes about. And that is also the reason why they share, because it fits their point of view, and then they share it to others. So do you think that sharing information and news based on confirmation bias is healthy for society? So why or why not?
no, it's not healthy for our society, because it doesn't actually, a society sustains and a society functions on the new and creativity and newness. So if a society wants to move on and want to create a healthy environment in a society, so it needs to create, it needs to innovate, it needs to function properly. So if we be engaged in confirming our thoughts and ideas. And if you are biased towards our thoughts, then society actually will not function. There will be no change in the society, and democracy and society will be hampered.
Yeah, but what will you say this person? He would say, why will I share opinions or news that I'm not interested in or I don't believe in? Why will I share that? So what do you say to that person?
No, that's true. That might, it's a good point you have raised. But in most cases, people, human beings are programmed in such a way they want to express and they want to share and they want to confirm. But there must have diversity in expression. That's what my point.
So you're telling them to share things that they do not agree with?
Not necessarily.
So what are you saying?
Not necessarily. But I'm not actually the state. If, for example, let me, if I explain that there is a danger of confirmation bias if political authoritarian political parties actually force to someone to say something, then it would really be danger for the society.
Okay.
Because
you want to say something?
No, thank you. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you very much, Mr. Aminul. And then now let's proceed to Dr. Barba. And if the others have questions, please just put it in the chat box. So I have several questions for Dr. Barba because he had such an interesting study. So yeah, so my first question is, from your examples, political and religious strategies, who are also now one of the gatekeepers, were the ones who perpetrated hate speech to push their agendas against social groups. So would a discussion with them about digital responsibility be enough to respond to this group? What do you think is a proper response? Okay, kindly unmute. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Okay, I will come to this question, but I would actually like to answer the last question that you asked through the chat box before. Actually, you posed that question when I finished my discussion. The last question was that why you did not have any Muslim respondent in your study. And actually, I think explaining this is very important. And that's why I want to answer that first. Actually, this has been a mistake on my side that I missed to mention about this at the beginning. As I mentioned, that this work that we presented today is a work in progress and part of a bigger study. And we started with this population, the minority people, because they are usually the prime target of hate speech alongside women. Afterwards, we are already going for other part of the study where we are going to include the Muslim population to have a comparative view and then a holistic view of the issue. I apologize again that I missed this very important point at the beginning. I think this, without this point, the study or the conversation loses its context. So that was the answer to the last question. Now, let's come to the first question that you rephrased again, that political and religious strategists were the one to perpetrated the hate speech to push their agendas against social groups. Would a discussion on digital responsibility with them be enough to respond to this group? What should be the proper response? And in my opinion, actually, that would not work. A discussion on digital responsibility, digital citizenship, or ethical citizenship, or good citizenship, whatever you might put on the table, I don't believe that would work, because they are doing such things on purpose to serve their political interest. So and they are doing this deliberately. So I think that in such cases, we need strict legal procedures. So whoever would do such crimes, spreading hate speech and then inciting people, aggravating people, aggravating a mob, of course, would be a criminal offense in our country as well. So they should be brought under appropriate and strict legal procedure so that examples are made. So the state really needs to act on this. We, the general people, probably cannot do much on that side. And but discussion on digital citizenship or digital responsibility and making our people, especially the youth, digital responsible, can do something. We can probably make the work of the political and religious strategists who perpetrate hate speech to create hate against a certain community or group of people, to incite hostility and vandalism. So we can probably make their work a little harder by teaching our people about digital citizenship, responsibility, because then the work of those people will be harder, as our people will be more conscious about their role in the society, their role and behaviors in the digital spaces, and of course their view towards the people in the society. They should have a more open view towards diversity and pluralism, and that can actually do something. And at least it will be very difficult to influence such people who are digitally literate, who believe in pluralism, to aggravate and influence to join a hate mob. So I think that's what can be done. But of course, the people who perpetrated in digital spaces such kind of hate speeches, nothing will happen if we just discuss with them the digital responsibility.
Well, I'm just trying to relate this to the first paper that Ms. Nandita Khan talked about, which is TikTok. And there was a lot of, discussion about the banning of TikTok because, as you could see, TikTokers, a lot of them are there for monetization. They want to earn from it, and therefore they even go to the extremes of doing immoral things or suggestive things just to earn a buck. And therefore, what people are saying, let's just ban TikTok. Would the digital responsibility discussion with TikTokers, would that even be effective or not? So in the same way, in your case, and that's why maybe Ms. Nandita can talk about that later on if we have the time. It's like if TikTokers are motivated by profit, would it make sense to talk digital responsibility to them? Okay, but now going back to Dr. Barba's example, the three cases that you presented, all this happened on Facebook, the hate speech. So shouldn't we advocate the banning of Facebook?
Yeah, this is a very difficult question. Actually, banning, I don't think always the answer, because we have knives and we can cut fruits for a snack in the afternoon. We can use it for kitchen works, and we can kill people with knife. Now we need to make people aware of how to use the knife, and there would be always people who will not go with the ethical and moral values. They will be motivated by certain reasons. But if the majority comes together on a cause, then probably things can change. And we are living in a world where we are pretty much interest-laden in most of the places. So things are becoming more complex, more difficult. But still, I believe that if we can really instill ethical and moral values among people, then such things can be rectified. Some such things can be lowered to a quote unquote an acceptable level, if not can be removed completely.
Okay.
And I don't believe that banning is the only solution.
Okay. Let's proceed with the next question. Do you agree with the statement which I tried to infer from the study that you have presented? Words by themselves are not hateful. They become hateful depending on their potential harm or impact on others.
Yeah, as a student in communication, I basically agree with the statement. We all know, whoever we are studying communication for some time, we know that words don't have inherent meanings. The meaning is attributed by the receivers. Also, the meaning depends on the context and few other factors. However, there are words having agreed upon meanings among a certain group. And I think the study relates to those words. Those have agreed upon meaning in a certain group. Okay, but I would take a little defense here that I don't think that our study is not yet at that level to answer this question very directly, very conclusively. But what I have already said that the words, even though it doesn't have inherent meaning, sometimes it can have some agreed upon meaning within a group. So that's where it comes. Yeah.
So also in your study, you found out that most hate speech is undertaken, which is gender-based, and it's undertaken against women, girls, and the third gender. And also your study found out that a lot of hate speech is on body image shaming. So is there a connection between these two findings that you have?
Yeah, there are some connections. I think this has a root in the society. If you consider our society in Bangladesh, we are a Muslim majority country, and it's patriarchal society for thousands of years. And women are kind of, suppressed. They have been shackled for centuries within the confinement of kitchens and inner yards. And still there are people who could not come out of all those patriarchal mentality and conservativeness. Of course, we have progressed a lot. Bangladesh is improving in the humanitarian indicators, especially in women empowerment, women education, mobility of women, women empowerment in decision-making in different spaces, including the household decision-making. We are improving in all those indicators, but still a part of the society still have all those conservative thoughts. And also there are people who are really chauvinist, they are really sexist, and they don't like to see the women go out. Also, there are people who have really bad gauge. So I think women becoming the prime victim of hate speeches have a connection to all these reasons. Okay, that's my take, and it goes similar with the third gender. I know in Bangladeshi society, the third gender or the transgender they are marginalized. They are actually outcast. They do not have their space in the mainstream society. Even once they were criminalized by a law enacted by British government. So that was the situation, and these people were not even recognized by the state, by the constitution. Only a few years ago, the third gender people, quote unquote third gender or transgender, in the local language we call them hijra. Okay, so the hijra people were recognized by the state only a few years ago, but still, recognizing by the state by amending a law or by a section or article of the constitution does not readily make them accepted by the society. So such things are there. They still, though we are, seeing some things like a couple of months ago, we saw a transgender person became a news presenter in a television channel, one of the top television channel in Bangladesh. Some are, getting jobs in different organizations, but still, they are really, really discriminated. We see behavior of people that if a transgender person comes in a restaurant, some people would just leave the restaurant because they do not want to dine with them. So this will not be removed readily, just overnight. And I think these people getting victim of the hate speech has a lot to do with all these societal issues. Okay. And the last part, the body shaming, I think that is a reflection or influence of the quote-unquote beauty standards set and propagated by the beauty product manufacturers, celebrities, and so-called social influencers or social media influencers we are observing nowadays. So
what kind of
I think
body,
I have taken a lot of time.
Yeah, what kind of body is being shamed in Bangladesh? Because from literature, you could see that, the plump women are even preferred in Bangladesh when you look at literature, because this is a symbol of being healthy and wealthy, being plump. So is this still holding true in Bangladesh, or has it changed?
I think if we look into this respondents, these are mostly urban, they are university students. And these are the people who follow the social influencer, who follow the celebrities. So they have more of those quote unquote, the modern kind of, body structure, quote unquote, necessary to be beautiful. Okay. So I think that is actually affecting that body image sense. It's not the traditional image that, okay, if you are plumpy, then you are healthy and you will be more qualified to be a mother because you are healthy. And also, that is a symbol of wealth and happy life. But now these young people, they are more aspiring probably the slender body. Okay. That's why.
Thank you, Dr. Barbak. So let's now go to Ms. Dilshad Hossain. So my first question here was, in Bangladeshi media, you can read a lot of negative reports about young politicians engaged in illicit and immoral acts, being troublemakers and money makers. So in your opinion, is this an adequate depiction of them? Kindly unmute Ms. Dilshad. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, sir, for the first question. Next, 1 second. Okay, so it is, I mean, actually, I cannot say that it is a fair depiction, but it is a partly fair depiction of young politicians, because, this is true that young politicians here are very powerful, as I have said in the beginning of my presentation. So yes, there are, when we see the reports, negative reports about young politicians, such as being engaged in immoral acts, money makers and something. This is partly true about the young politicians, but not for all, especially when this is, I would not say the culture, but this is kind of like a circle, and which has been, which has begun, just after the Liberation War, that because in 1971 the student organization has a huge had a huge influence on our liberation war and on our freedom of Bangladesh. So they were kind of powerful in 1971, and after that they became they were in the power, like they were in the supreme power. So in this circle, the most of the student leaders who actually rules like the University of of Dhaka, or who actually do the politics in the capital of Bangladesh, they automatically think that they are going to be, you know, a part of a big political, you know, they will have a big political career, and to have a big political career they need money. So in Bangladesh, and I think in most of the countries like in in South Asia, so in this case, to make their political career, you know, they kind of they need to earn more money, and they get involved in some negative immoral acts. So I partly, but there are some people, like there are some young politicians, as I have said, that I can give example of left-leaning political leaders who actually do not you know, follow this path, and they truly want to make changes in society. So that is the number one first question. So the second question was, sir.
Yeah, from your findings, one can gauge that young politicians use social media for propaganda purposes and not for the good of society. Is this correct?
Yes. Okay. So when I made the questionnaire, and to be very frank, when I have asked that what actually you do, how do you use your social media for political communication, nobody actually gave answers about doing you know, like positive thing or something in social media. I mean, even that was the pandemic time, and often when I've asked them that, you know, like, did you not are you not spreading, like, you know, like support to other mass people about the pandemic or something, then they said, yes, that is why I'm telling you that, you know, like we are spreading the news about our positive activities of our party. So by promoting the positive activities of their party, they actually meant about, you know, doing good things for society, I think. So that was the first the answer. And the second is,
Yeah. So they receive a lot of hate speech. And you said that they use logical arguments and tit for tat. So are these effective strategies?
okay, so you know, when I have asked them the question, most of them got defensive, like act defensively, and also, but there were some people like they say that logical argument. When I have asked them that, what do you mean by logical argument? Some of them say that we continue the argument with references from different newspaper. That was there were, and some of them said that we often say that, you know, what you did when you were in ruling party. So, you know, they use those different references, positive or negative, when they, you know, goes to the argument. But obviously these are not effective. I don't find these are effective strategies. But yeah, using references, like 4 or 5 have said that we use references to get involved in the argument. I think that can be better than using, you know, like bullying them, or, you know, using negative, you know, like name calling in social media. So I mean, that is the thing. But obviously, but the most effective strategies can be I don't know, can be like you know, like using more humbly, you know, make them understand. But I don't think that it actually happens in social media in Bangladesh. So that is another question.
Okay,
so
the last question is, what is the reach in social media of the young politicians?
is this limited to the political party members?
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, as far as I have seen, that no, not only the political party members, they have thousands of followers, especially the young leaders from ruling party, and also from the opposition party. They have thousands of followers, and not all are political activists. So they actually have followers, they actually reach to mass people through their social media, through their Facebook. So that is the question for the reaching mass people. So, sir, I had a question from another one, and it was a direct question. I want to give answers. It was about is it their Bangladesh constitution for control political social media in Indonesia? We have UUITE for control social media. So I have wrote that Digital Security Act, and it is not so. He asked that how, if people of Bangladesh give critique for government via social media, so what happened to them? So for the Digital Security Act, it is not actually to control politics and social media or to control mass people. It is more trickier than that. I I would say that I mean you can criticize the government, you can criticize the ruling party through your social media, their initiative. You can criticize their budget, their initiatives for health initiatives or for other initiative for mass people. You are allowed to criticize, not allowed. You are free to criticize, and you are free to use your social media to criticize government. But sometimes when it comes to control the politicians from opposition, I think we have seen some news that government used this Digital Security Act to control those political activities. I think that is safe to answer. Like, yeah, that's it. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Okay. So thank you very much. So I think Ms. Sandita, do you want to say something? Or you're okay. So anyway, you have, yeah, kindly unmute her. Then yeah. Okay, so I think that's it. So okay. So that, I think that ends our panel for discussion on understanding digital responsibility among the Bangladeshi youth, and I hope that this enlightened you in many ways. So I would like to thank the panel, Ms. Nandita Khan, Mr. Aminul Islam, Dr. Barbak Karmal, and Ms. Dilshad Hossein. Thank you very much for your presentation, and thank you to everybody who are here today.
Thank you, Professor Jude William Janilo, for leading the panel sessions for ULAB and the team. Well, distinguished presenters and participants, thank you very much for participating in this first panel sessions and make the discussions become very engaging and fruitful. And after this, you may leave the room, but please get back to join us on the second panel session, which will start at 1 to 4 p.m. Jakarta time. Stay safe and healthy. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Professor. Thank you. Again, I would like to inform the participants to be able to leave the room, but please get back with us in the second session at 1 p.m. Thank you very much.
Exactly.